Hey guys, today I'm going to be working on cutting out this inner structure here to make room for the mounts I'm going to have that are going to go across, and also I'm going to go ahead and throw the rear wheel back on so I can kind of get an idea of where that battery box can fit, as well as where the mounts are going to be and all that kind of stuff, just to kind of put the wheel back on and see what kind of room I got. So I'm going to start with cutting this part off just to kind of have a blank slate. And then we're going to go in and see where we want to put that battery box, and then start to kind of figure out where we want our seat mounts to go. Alright, little update here. I got that bracket totally cut off and where they mount, ground smooth. So now we have a nice blank template to figure out where we want to put the battery box, and then also where we need to mount the bars that are going to go across for the threaded screws for the bottom of the seat to mount it up. So I'm going to go ahead and throw the wheel back on now, just kind of temporarily put it in place so I can kind of see what kind of room we're working with, and then we'll see if our cardboard template works out for the battery box kind of electronics tray. And then we'll go from there. Alright, so as you can see, I went ahead and threw the back wheel on. It's still just loose, but I threw it on there to kind of see what our clearance is. I think it looks pretty darn good. You can kind of see we're going to have plenty of room for suspension travel, for sure. What I'm thinking about doing is there's 6 mounting locations for this seat, but that may be a little bit overkill. So what I think I'm going to do is put 2 bars across on these back 4 mounting locations, and then leave this one out for now. The reason for doing that is because I'm going to build that battery box right here, so if the mounts go right through the battery box, that's really going to limit kind of how I can organize everything and where I can put the battery at. And I think 4 is going to be more than enough for this particular seat. So I'm going to leave these 2 out for now. I can always come back in and add them again kind of later if I feel the need to, but I think I'm going to do these 2, and then I can do the battery tray kind of all the way to this back frame bar here. And if I angle it a little bit, then I'm going to have plenty of clearance for suspension travel with the rear tire. So we shouldn't have any interference at all. I'm going to sit on this too when I get a little bit closer to doing that. Try to get as much weight on it as possible, so I can really make sure that we're not going to contact that, going over any big bumps or anything. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and start to measure up and weld in the 2 mounts for the back of the seat. And I'll kind of bring you guys back whenever I get those in, so you can see exactly how I did it. Alright, so I went ahead and threw the tank on, and I still have the seat kind of just laying here. What I'm doing is making sure I get the mounting points in exactly the right spot. So I pushed the seat right up to where our frame loop goes nicely right underneath. What I'm going to do is just mark the frame with a Sharpie exactly where the mounts are. That way I can take my bar stock, lay it across, measure exactly how long it needs to be, cut them, and then weld them in. So I just need to know exactly where those mounts are when the seat's in the perfect position. One's right there, the other one is right. Yep, I'm going to go ahead and do the same on the other side just to make sure I get it lined up perfectly. Now that I have those lines on there, we'll pop this seat off. You can see exactly what I'm going to do. So these mounts are just kind of screw-in studs, basically kind of like an all-thread kind of thing. So what I'm going to do is just put a piece of flat bar across here, just like this. It doesn't have to be super thick or anything. This is probably, I don't know if I had to guess, maybe 1/8 of an inch. It's not quite 1/4 of an inch, probably 1/8 inch. So what I can do is just measure, right across here, mark it out, cut it, drill 2 holes exactly where the studs are, and then I'll be able to just, put it on top. The studs will go through the holes, and I'll be able to just bolt it. Or I'll actually use wing nuts. That way, if I need to get to the electronics when I'm out somewhere, if something happens and I need to work on it, I won't need, any tools to get access to it. I can just take off the wing nuts, with my hands, which is actually how Toughside recommends that you mount it. So that's what I'm going to do now. So I'm just going to kind of lay this across here. I'm going to make sure it goes just below the top side of this bar, because I don't want this to be the highest point, because it'll kind of throw off the mounting of the seat. So I'll go just below it to make sure it's flush, and then line it up with these marks I made and weld it in. Okay, so I have my piece cut. It fits in here exactly how I want. Just a little bit below the surface. And it lines up well. So I'm going to go ahead and tack it in, make sure everything looks good, and then I can finish welding. Yeah, I think that's going to work out perfect. Get you guys a little bit closer look at what I'm doing here, and I know my tack welds are kind of ugly. I'm having issues with my welder. It's kind of a cheap Eastwood MIG 135. I don't know exactly what the problem is, but I'm not getting great welds out of it. But oh well, it's doing the job for now, but I got to look into that a little bit more. But yeah, so you can see I made it to where that bar is just, maybe 3/4 of the way, down the tube, lined up with my marks here. Now I can kind of finish weld it in, then I can drill my 2 holes and we'll have a nice solid mounting point. And then we'll move on to this next one here. I don't know if I have any extra bar that's this size. I know I have one that's a little bit thicker. I might just use that so I don't have to run to the store and buy some more. But we'll see. But this is how it's going so far. Alright, I have my next brace made, and I went ahead and used my thicker material. This is super overkill for what I'm doing here, but I had this as a scrap, and also, extra strength in here is never a bad thing since we cut out all the bracing and stuff. So you can see I cut it to where it'll actually fit down in between the frame rails here, so I can actually kind of weld it right in the center, just for a little extra support. So that's what I'm going to do now, is just kind of make sure it's lined up and square and everything, and then I'm going to go ahead and weld this into the center, and then we can work on drilling our holes for the actual mounts. Alright, I have the 2 seat mounts welded in. It turned out pretty well. I'm still having those issues with my welder, but I've got enough weld on there to be nice and secure. I mean, even the thin one, you could pick the back of the bike up with it. Obviously that one's super strong, but so it looks pretty good. So I'm gonna make some marks to see exactly where those studs go through. We'll drill them through, and then we'll actually be able to mount up the seat kind of, you know, semi-permanently to see exactly what it's going to look like and how easy it's going to be to get on and off, and alignment and all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to mark some holes and drill them out, and we'll go from there. Alright, final update on mounting of the seat. I still got a little bit of tweaking to do with the brackets. I think the front's shifted over just a little bit, so what I'm going to do is, you can see the wing nuts in there, kind of how it's going to mount. These front holes, I may have to just make them into a little bit of a slot, because I think I need to shift the front of the seat over probably about 1/4 of an inch, but you can see how the back lines up with that hoop. Looks really good. I'm going to trim some of these studs down just because they're longer than they really need to be. And I need to get an extra wing nut because I only had 3 that fit these threads. But here's kind of an idea of what it's going to look like. You can see how the seat does conform to that little arch, which looks really good. I'm really happy with the way it turned out. Once I get this front kind of shifted over maybe 1/4 of an inch closer to this side, it'll sit a little bit more flush. You can kind of see there's like a little bit of a gap on this side and not really much of a gap on that side. So what I need to do is just kind of make the little holes that are in the mounting tab right here. I'm just going to kind of make them a little bit more like oval shape, just so I can kind of shift it over just a little bit and get it mounted perfectly. It's a little bit hard to get the hole location perfect on all 4 holes and have it all line up. So one of those being, or 2 of those being, a little bit more of a slot. Once you tighten it down, it's not going to make a difference. And that's going to be plenty strong enough to hold the seat. So I think I'm going to be good to remove these front here. And now that I have that on, you can kind of get an idea of what the whole bike's going to look like. I think it looks really good. I'm really happy with the way it's turning out so far. So that's going to be it really for this video on how to kind of mount your Brat style seat on a CB550. If you have any questions or anything, feel free to leave a comment below. One thing I want to start doing is kind of a little bit of a poll of what color do you think I got, or what color do you think I should paint the tank. I go back and forth between kind of a bluish color. I thought about doing silver. I thought about stripping it down to metal and kind of just brushing the metal and putting a clear coat on it, so it kind of just looks like brushed aluminum or whatever. So I'm kind of open to ideas, so let me know in the comments below what you guys would think a good color choice would be for that. Thanks for watching, and if it's your first time checking in, go check out the other videos, and if you like it, throw a like on the video, and a subscribe would be awesome. So thanks for watching, and let me know if you guys have any questions. Have a good one.